Once that delay happened, that kind of ended it for me. I don't know how you're starting fights after midnight. But before we go any other direction, we get into any amount of football or anything else, let me at least ask you. You had a viewing party.
Yes.
You had lots of people over the house.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, it's big time. David, you must have lost Sully's invite. I don't know what happened there.
He was here. He was actually working Saturday night doing a show.
That's right.
He knows the open invite. He's always welcome over to my house.
That's called a pity invite. The point is, you had a viewing party. You paid the money. You were excited for this. You were hyped up for this. So the question is very, very simple for you. Did you get your money's worth?
There's no question about it. I thought I did.
Oh, good God.
Thoroughly entertaining. Obviously,
hold on. Thoroughly?
I thought it was great.
Thoroughly?
I really thought it was a fun event to watch. And obviously, a lot of people going into it, myself included, didn't think it would be close. You thought it would kind of be a joke. And look, from a competitive standpoint, from a statistical standpoint, yeah, it was lopsided. Floyd, of course, won. But those first couple rounds, if you want to say Conor won those first 3 rounds, I think most people will probably agree with that. So just to see him start out actually winning rounds, and of course Floyd always starts out where he just goes into a turtle shell and kind of collects his data and picks his spots. But the fact that Conor actually competed at first, and then just to see Floyd take over after that and just do what he does was just incredible.
You don't think that was a little bit fake? I mean, isn't that the most cliche thing, right? None of us expect it to be close at all. Floyd will dump him in a round, and then the fight's roundly criticized. You don't think that there's a little bit of showmanship there? I said to you, I didn't believe this would be a wholly organic fight. Mm-hmm. No, I didn't think you'd have someone taking a dive. No, I didn't think you would have a Floyd losing his last fight to win money. I thought those conspiracies were ridiculous. But do you want me to believe that Floyd and McGregor's people weren't keenly aware of what was on the line for the credibility of things? You really believe that was somehow a wholly organic fight?
No, I don't necessarily believe that, but I also went into it knowing that, hey, I'm watching this for entertainment. And I thought from a competitive standpoint, it was more competitive than I thought it'd be. Not that it was that competitive, but the one red flag for me was just the over-under and how crazy that was. And it was 9.5 rounds. It barely went under by 10 seconds. And obviously it came out that Floyd had tried to place a bet on the under, which is just crazy to think about. That was the only thing that raised a flag for me of just kind of being suspicious about it.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm glad you mentioned it because it was next on my list. But, let's invite the people in on this. I mean, we can get to the Lions preseason game, if you want to call it that. I always try to give you an even keel on preseason, but that was a little bit tough. You don't plan on being down 24-0 at home early with starters in. Not a good look. I mean, there's no other way to say it. But this McGregor-Mayweather fight, do you feel you got your money's worth? I don't remember a fight that there were more viewing parties for. I don't remember a fight that, look, more people knew wasn't legitimate, but we're still going to watch it in history. There was not a heavyweight fight or a middleweight fight or any fight that had the sizzle that this had. And in that regard, that it did make history. But I wonder if people feel they got cheated in any way after the event happened. Sully feels like, hey, money was well spent, had a good night, had a party, knew it was entertainment, treated it like wrestling, all good. Now, I don't know how many people. I mean, there might be 15 people left in this city that are real fans of the fight game anymore. It's a very old school thing. I don't think any real boxing fan could feel that way today, and I don't think any real boxing fan paid to watch this nonsense.
Here's the thing. I mean, it was an event that transcended sports, I guess you'd say, because it's a Super Bowl-esque event where you have people that are all different, every different type of person, all different types of people coming together to watch this fight, watch this event, when generally people aren't going to really care about boxing. Look at Super Bowl parties. Isn't that kind of the same way? A lot of people in that room don't watch football. Yep. You go there because it's a social thing. It's fun. It's party. It's drinking. It's eating good food. It's whatever. So it was an event. I mean, it's. I think the only thing you could compare it to is a Super Bowl type event.
It wasn't more money wagered on this than the Super Bowl in the city of Las Vegas?
Yeah, it was most money ever, I believe, wagered on an event.
And the odds weren't very sexy. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't interesting. I heard some commentary on Saturday before the fight how McGregor had shorter odds than, Andre Berto or whoever Mayweather had fought a couple of years ago. And they were just talking, and I forget who it was. I was in the car. It was early Saturday morning. I texted Roberto. He was doing some fine work talking about granite and quartz and whatever else they're doing here during the weekends. The point is, I was turned it and was listening to something regarding the fight. And they had said, well, I don't know what was going on. I had forgotten we had a different block of programming. The point is, I was listening, and they were going, look, this Berto had fought his whole life. This is a guy who dedicated his life to fighting. And you were getting better odds if you thought he was going to win than a guy who had fought for 6 months in that discipline, in that style. It was ridiculous. Conor McGregor should have been something to the tune of plus 2,000 to win this fight. It shouldn't have been plus 400 or plus 500. You are talking about something that should have been, a 200 or 100 to 1 shot minimum. And you weren't getting that value. And on the other side of things, it's not like Floyd was presenting great value. What did it go out to? Minus 600, minus 650 by fight?
Right.
What were you really gaining? So I didn't think the odds were sexy, but you're right, Mike. People lined up to bet on this, and they lined up to lay big bets. And I guess I kind of was puzzled by the whole thing. You weren't getting any odds worth betting on Floyd, not unless you were willing to bet an ungodly amount of money. And the odds on McGregor, even if you were taking a flyer, weren't long enough to even justify it. And you were getting better odds on boxers than you were Conor McGregor. I thought that was very flawed. And Vegas gets it right. And look, clearly, these odds in some way, shape, or form got people involved. I'm just saying, as someone who I think has half a brain, I would never bet on such a thing.
And that's where I'm interested to hear from the people, too, because I got the sense that people were entertained. And you read in the New York Daily News today, people saying it exceeded the hype. And even social media, I feel like people were entertained. People thought they got their money's worth, but you're always going to get some people that'll complain about it, too.
No, and look, I don't think people who ordered it should be judged. I don't think people should be made fun of. It's entertainment. It's an excuse to get together, have a party, have a good time. Nothing wrong with it. It just, for me, I never understood how anyone expected a fight. And in many ways, this wasn't really a fight. I thought it was theater. I thought it was a good setup. Oh, look, McGregor took the first couple rounds. Floyd knew if he turned it on, he could end this fight in 1 round. In many ways, this was a farewell tour. This was a finale. And I don't think it made sense to go out and end it in the first round. Floyd already will go down in history as one of the better boxers, if not the best. And to me, he had to make the farewell right, and it needed to have some, and I will term it, faux drama. The end of that fight, Conor McGregor got worked. His face was a wreck. Floyd looks like he just got done hopping out of the shower. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't want to hear that from people about how the fight should have been extended.
No.
Conor wasn't. A minute went by where McGregor wasn't even throwing a punch. He was lifeless in there. Floyd was just working him. That fight ended when it should have ended.
You're a regular Burt Sugar over there.